Yes, so I believe my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah. So see, we had completed factoring, and yesterday we had started with forfeiting. These were the types of factoring, right? Functions, eminence, and then international factoring was the last concept. And we have also done pros and cons of factoring benefits. Now, yesterday we started with meaning of forfeiting. So I hope you remember forfeiting is little different from international factoring. In international factoring, you do not get 100% advance, whereas in forfeiting, you get 100% advance. And for factoring, international factoring is done for short term receivables. Forfeiting is done for, of course, international transactions, but then long term receivables. Okay, more than 6 months or 1 year. So now look at the mechanics of forfeiting. Which all parties are involved in this? Let's see. One is exporter, and then we have forfeiter. Another is importer. We have availing bank. Availing bank means the bank which gives the letter of credit on behalf of importer to the exporter. Because without letter of credit, how will exporter sell the goods to the importer? Okay, so it should be, guaranteed by the bank. The transaction should be guaranteed by the bank. So bank should be standing as a guarantor. For that, bank has to issue letter of credit. Okay, so these are the four parties that are involved. Okay, and these see if you can see the arrows. Exporter goes to the forfeiter. Now, what forfeiter is doing? Forfeiter held it at maturity date. All the bills are held by forfeiter till the maturity date, and the advance is given to the exporter. Now, what forfeiter is doing? Sell to the groups of the investor or trade in the secondary market. He has three options with him. Either he can hold all the shares, sorry, all the bills till the maturity date, or he can sell it to the group of investors, or he can trade it in the secondary market. Okay, now there is an availing bank which issues letter of credit to the importer, I mean exporter, and then importer, because importer has approached the availing bank, so availing bank gives an approval to the importer, thereby issuing letter of credit to the exporter saying that you can import these goods, certain amount of goods, to the importer which is in my country, and I will take care of the payments. Okay, there are five parties involved, if you can see, because here you can see four parties, but then if there are two, what to say, um, forfeiters, then I mean, forfeiter will be one, but then there will be two banks who will be dealing, because exporter, how will he receive money from other countries? There are other countries. The transactions with other countries means you are going to receive foreign currency, and therefore you should have one bank account. No, you means exporter. So therefore, exporters bank will also come into picture. There are five parties involved: exporter, exporters bank, importer, importer banks. Oh, sorry, importers bank. And then last party that you have is forfeiter. So forfeiter means the one who performs the services of forfeiting. Forfeiter purchases all the bills from exporter, and he makes sure that all the payment is received from the importer on the due date. Okay, so this is the procedure is given. Exporter and importer negotiate the proposed export sale contract. Okay, as per the preliminary discussion, as per the mutual agreement, they negotiate the proposed export sale contract. And then based on this discussion, exporter approaches the forfeiter first, because forfeiter should be ready to purchase all the bills, no? Exporter cannot wait for long 6 months, 1 year to receive the amount. Therefore, exporter is approaching forfeitor. Now what happens? एक्सपोर्टर ने जैसे ही फॉरफिटर को अप्रोच किया, फॉरफिटर विल कलेक्ट फ्रॉम द एक्सपोर्टर ऑल द रेलिवेंट डिटेल्स, documents about importer, about supply and credit terms, how many months you have given, okay, as per the credit, with regards to credit period, all the documentation part, in order to ascertain the country risk, credit risk involved in the transaction. Because see, forfeiter has also to check with the risk factor, no, that particular in the particular country, what is the market risk, in the particular transaction, what is the credit risk, I mean, what is the bad day, that is, chances of the bad days that is involved in the particular transaction. So forfeiter will also have to, ascertain all these terms and conditions. Therefore, he has to collect all the details. Okay. Next step will be, depending upon the nature and extent of the risk, forfeiter quotes the discount rate. Now, forfeiter will never say, no, I will not take up this transaction and I will not purchase the bills. He will never say no, because his job is this only. He will purchase. But then suppose the credit risk is more, the country risk is more, the market risk is more, the discount rate will also be more. He will deduct the discount rate a little more than, as compared to the chances, as compared to the case where chances of risks are lower. Are you getting my point? So suppose risk is low, then discount rate will also be low. And if risk are, different types of risk are attached to the transaction, if they are higher, then the discount rate will be also higher. So depending upon the nature and extent of risk, forfeiter will charge you the discount. The exporter has now to take care about the discount rate is reasonable and would be acceptable to the buyer. Because see, he is going to fetch all the amount from the buyer only, no? So exporter should also gain some profit. It should not be there that discount rate is so high that, no amount of money is left in the hands of exporter. Then there is no point to go with, buying the services of forfeiter. Forfeiter is getting benefits through discounts and commissions. But then on the other hand, exporter will also see if he is gaining, required amount of profits. Otherwise, why will he enter into the transaction which, the transaction which causes him to suffer losses? Why will he enter into that transaction? Tell me. So he will also have to check whether the discount rate is reasonable. It shouldn't be that high. Okay. He will then quote a contract price to the overseas buyer. Now, suppose the discount rate is little high. Accordingly, he will accordingly, he will quote contract price to the buyer. I mean, importer. Overseas buyer means the importer, the one who is going to purchase and he is from the other country. That is known as overseas. Overseas matlab, what do you mean by overseas? Outside the country. The buyer is from the outside India. Okay, he is going to be, transacting to the buyer with the buyer who is, based in the other countries outside India. Okay, so he will quote accordingly the contract price by loading the discount rate, commitment fees, that means commission which is paid to the forfeiter, etc., on the sale price of the goods to be exported. Now, if the deals go through, all the deals with exporter with forfeiter and exporter with the buyer. Suppose if the deal is okay. Now, if it is going through, okay. Now, what will happen? The exporter and the forfeiter signs a contract. They are signing a contract. Now, what will happen? Export takes place. All the goods will be taken care I mean, all the goods will be transported from the exporter's godown to the importer's place. That means outside India. So export will take place against all the documents guaranteed by the importer's bank, like letter of credit. Importer bank, what importer bank is giving as a guaranteed document? Letter of credit is the biggest guaranteed document that an exporter has. And based on that document, export will take place. Now what will happen? The exporter discounts the bill with the forfeiter. Now what will happen? He has exported all the goods to the importer. He means exporter. Exporter has exported all the goods to the importer. Now he has bills in his hands, but he doesn't want bills. What he wants is cash on the spot. So what he will do? He will go to the forfeiter, give all the bills to the forfeiter, and forfeiter will cut the discount amount, deduct the discount amount, and will present the amount to the exporter. This is the step. This is the next step. This is what is written here. The exporter discounts the bill with the forfeiter. Discounts the bill means he will sell all the bills to the forfeiter, and in return he will receive cash after deducting the discount by the forfeiter. And the forfeiter presents the same, same means bill to the importer for the payment on due date, or even can sell it in the secondary market. I told you earlier also. Suppose now forfeiter also wants money on the spot. So what he will do? He will sell all these bills in the secondary market to somebody else. But he will have to inform to the importer that now you're not going to pay the forfeiter, but then you're going to pay somebody who has purchased these bills in the secondary market. So see how the bills are, transferring from one hand to the another hand. Okay. But yes, if he is holding all the bills, suppose forfeiter is holding all the bills with himself. So he will have to hold it on till the due date. He cannot ask for the payment before the due date. So that's what he's saying. He will present the same to the importer for payment on the due date. Okay. And suppose forfeiter also is not able to wait up to the due date. Then what will happen? He can sell it in the secondary market. He has options, right? Those bills are transferable, negotiable. Okay. This is just a procedure that we have discussed just now. Just now we had discussed this mechanism. Mechanism means process only. So these were the point, these were given in the point format, sentence format, and this is given as per the diagrammatic view. This is just the diagrammatic view of the process, the same one that we have discussed just now. You can see, I will quickly discuss. Where is the step number 1? Yeah, this is step number 1. Exporter will approach forfeiter. Okay. Now, forfeiter has approved. Then what will happen? Exporter will export to the importer. Importer will give all the bills to the exporter will give the approval to the importer. Third step, importer will receive all the goods based on the documentation by the importer's bank received by the exporter. That is the fourth step. And next step, fifth, means importer will have to issue all these documents. See, documents are issued here, no, in the fourth step. So fifth step, these documents will be transferred from importer to the exporter, saying that letter of credit is issued by my bank. You can sell all the products now. Okay, so next sixth step will be forfeiter. Exporter will go to the forfeiter. The transaction will be dealt between two of them. Now what will happen? Seventh step. Forfeiter will pay cash, immediate payment, which is required by the exporter. So immediate payment will be done by the forfeiter. To whom? To the exporter. That is why he has given all the bills to the forfeiter in the sixth step. No. Okay. Now, eighth step is forfeiter will go to the importer's bank and say, this is the due date. You need to ask your customer to pay. So now what will happen? Importer will pay to the importer's bank, and importer bank will remit all the money to the forfeiter. The last step, 10th step, on the maturity date, on the due date. Okay, so this is how the process goes on and on, forfeiting process. Okay, next, stages involved. Same again, उन्होंने अलग तरीके से represent किया है आंसर को, process only, but then in the different format. Okay, you can refer, you can have two of them, I mean any one of them. This is mechanism and these are the stages. So process only comes in stages, right? So you can refer any one of them. Just a minute, huh? I'm getting an important call. Okay, so stages, you can refer it later on. It is, as you know, just an alternative provided to you. Okay. Now, cost involved in forfeiting. Remember, हमने ये भी पढ़ा था factoring में. Factoring में हमने पढ़ा था ना, charges involved in factoring. So same thing again, cost involved in forfeiting. So what are the charges involved? If I take the factoring forfeiting services, so what all types of charges that I have to pay to the forfeiter? Let's see. Commitment fees. Commitment fees has to be paid to the forfeiter by the exporter. That means if suppose I am exporter and you are the forfeiter, so I will have to pay you committed fees. Whatever fees will be there, I will pay you because you are giving me services, right? Okay, next, commission will also be paid based on the amount of bill. Suppose the bill is of a high range, huge value, $1 lakh, $2 lakh. So commission will be little higher. If the amount is little low, then commission will also be little low. So it ranges from 0 to 5 to 1.5% per annum. Same as factoring. Remember? This was same in factoring. Remember, 0.5 to 1.5% per annum. Okay. Discount fees is also deducted naturally because you're just doing bills discounting, no? It is the same as bills discounting, right? You're going to sell all the bills. In bill discounting, it was only 1 or 2 bills taken to the bank, sold to the bank. But here, all the bills are sold to the forfeiter, but which type of bills? Export bills. And the discount rate is decided based on LIBOR. अगर आपको चाहिए LIBOR क्या होता है? So it is the full form which is given here. London Interbank Offer Rate. London Interbank means from one bank to the other bank. Between two banks. Intrabank नहीं, interbank. INTER. INTRA. एक होता है intrabank, within the bank. एक होता है interbank, between the two banks, two different banks. If the transactions are to be dealt between two different banks, then it is known as interbank transaction. So LIBOR means London Interbank Offer Rate. So it is decided according to that. Okay. The discount fees is decided according to the LIBOR for the period concerned. Suppose period is for 1 year. So LIBOR, according to the LIBOR, the discount rate will be little higher. Suppose the period is for 8 months. So discount rate will be based on that particular period. But it will be standard as per the LIBOR. Everybody has to follow as per the rates as given by LIBOR. Okay. Documentation fees. This is also, very, very important because importer will have to issue the documents, no, like letter of credit. So if I am exporter, I'm purchasing forfeiting fees. I will also have to approach bank to issue, documents. So there are documents in the process which are very, very important. without which the transaction will not be valid, or you can say forfeiting services will not be valid. Therefore, you will have to pay legal fees. Legal formalities are there. And therefore, for that, you have to pay legal fees, documentation fees. Service charges are also applicable for the export-import bank. So, because there are two banks involved, no, exporters bank and importers bank. They are also giving you services. And therefore, they will also charge their separate charges, separate service charges from the exporter and importer. Okay. Characteristics of forfeiting. Converts the deferred payment exports into cash transaction. Deferred means long time payments, which are going to be received on the future date. Long time payments. I will have to wait for very, very long time. Such long time payments will be converted into cash transactions. That means I will receive the whole amount on the spot. Of course, after deducting all these charges. But I'm going to receive no cash on the spot, which will create liquidity in the company. That means your production will not stop. Your purchases of raw material will not stop. Your expanding business, thought of expanding business will not stop. So because you have cash, you can expand your business, you can purchase more raw material, you can have more production, you can increase your sales targets, and you can have desired profits on the future period. So just because you have cash in your hand. So to have cash in the hand means you have, it is lifeblood of the business. It is giving life to the business. See, cash is very, very important. Without cash, no business can be run smoothly. Correct? So for every business, you require cash. For every transaction, rather, you require cash. Okay. Absolves exporter from cross-border political or conversion risk associated with the export receivables. Suppose if you are not taking forfeiting services, now you don't have any expert idea how to cross the political borders and how to minimize the risk factor which is involved in other countries, other markets outside India. You do not know, but a forfeiter knows how to deal with all these legal formalities. So therefore it, absolves means it gives you the solution for these problems. Okay. Finance available up to 100%. Okay. Now factor, if you are going with factoring services, then only 75 to 80% will be given to you in advance. Immediate cash payment will be given to you up to 80%, not more than that. For 20%, you will have to wait again up to the maturity date, up till the maturity date. But here in this case, forfeiting is advantageous. How? You are receiving 100% cash payment. Of course, I'm repeating again, after deducting all these payments. But you are receiving again 100% payment. No. Suppose if you are receiving 80% after deducting all these expenses, then again, there is less payment of cash to you left in your hand. But if you receive 100% payment of cash after deducting all these expenses, then you are receiving huge amount of money on the spot. You will not have to wait for rest of the money to be received on the maturity date. Correct? So that's a bigger advantage in the case of forfeiting. Okay. Next, acts as additional source of funding. Now it is additional source of funding. No, if you are not transacting, how will you have bills? If you don't have bills, how will you sell it to the forfeiter? So it is additional source of funding. Funds comes from these source, no? So it is one more source that I can, gain cash, gain liquidity in the company. So it is one more biggest source and hence does not have any impact on exporter's borrowings limit. Because you have got the cash. Now You will have not to worry about your borrowings because you have cash. No, otherwise, suppose if you are not taking forfeiting services, then the cash is blocked with the customers outside India. That means importers. So what will you do if the cash is required for the company to expand, to purchase raw material, to increase production? What will you do? You will not shut down the business. Rather, you will borrow from the outside. So borrowing will attract interest rates. One more expenditure. इससे तो अच्छा है you take forfeiting services. Okay. And one more benefit, if you are not borrowing funds, it will not be reflected in the balance sheet, and balance sheet will look good because borrowings are less. The lesser the borrowings, the more the balance sheet will be effective. And balance sheet and profit and loss account is represented, you know, for hum seekh rahe na, we are learning from financial reporting analysis. What does that mean? Financial reporting analysis. That means you have to report your financial statements to your creditors, to the customers, to the investors, to the government. You have to publish it in the newspapers, in the magazines, so that everybody comes to know what is the goodwill of my company. Is it good or bad? And if my balance sheet has low amount of debts, then balance sheet will reflect good amounts. Good, the goodwill will be increased. And if goodwill is increasing, more investors will come in my company to invest their funds. Again, I will receive more funds. So more funds means I can expand my business. I can purchase more raw material. I can increase my sales. I can achieve my desired profits. I can expand my business because I have funds in my hand. See, there are so many benefits if you have forfeiting uh, as your main service in your what to say financial statements. Okay. It provides fixed rate of finance. That means discount is fixed rate. It is decided by LIBOR, as I told you. Okay. And fixed rate of finance is there. Hence the risk of interest rate fluctuation does not arise. So suppose if market risk is increasing, it will not affect me. Why? Because it is the discount that is provided to me, the discount rate that I have been charged on, that I'm going to pay, will be at the fixed rate. Therefore, if fluctuations are there in the market, it will not affect me. It will not affect my charges rate. Okay. Exporter is free from the credit administration. Exporter does not have, he is free. He is relaxed. Why? Because he will not have to keep checking with the daters and then their dates, due dates, and the amount that has to be received from them, and the outstanding amount that has to be received from them. Exporter will not take all these, headache on their heads. Okay, he is free from the stress. He is free from the headache. Okay, provides long-term credit unlike the form of credit, bank credit. They are giving long-term credit period to the customers. So customers are also very happy. Okay, saves cost of ECGC cover is eliminated. Cost of ECGC, Export Credit Guarantee Corporation. We are going to do it in FRA, don't worry. We are going to do it in FRA. The next chapter will be that one only, where ECGC will be explained to you. So as of now, you just remember the full form. It is Export Credit Guarantee Corporation. And this corporation is bank only. Bank only gives you this Export Credit Guarantee Corporation. Export Credit Guarantee Corporation. Guarantee is given by the bank that you can export on the credit basis to the importer. I am taking the guarantee. Bank is going to take the guarantee for the credit transactions. Export, but then credit transaction. That means you are allowing the importer for long period of times, like 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. But then for that, bank is going to take the guarantee that don't worry, my importer will pay you full amount of money. If he will not pay, then I am going to pay from his account. So that is ECGC. Anyways, I explained, I thought it has come. So let me just give you an idea. So ECGC, Export Credit Guarantee Corporation. So this is the service that is given by the banks. Now you're not taking that service. Why? Because now you have taken the service of forfeiting. Forfeiter is there, no? So why will you take guarantee from the banks? So that amount of, cost is saved. That amount of service charges is saved. Why? Because you're now not taking these type of services, ECGC type of, services from the bank. Okay. Now, because the forfeiter is involved, everything will be taken care by the forfeiter. Therefore, documentation procedure is very, very simple. Forfeiter financer is responsible for each of the exporter's trade transaction. Now, forfeit financer is responsible to see how much export transaction is to be dealt, how much should be the amount, how much should be the credit period, etc. He is responsible for deciding these terms and conditions. Forfeit transactions are confidential. That means the information is not leaked out in the market. Okay. Pros and cons of forfeiter, but I think we have 5 minutes, no? So let's see what all we have. Pros and cons. We have distinguished between factoring and forfeiting. Very, very, very important. And we have comparative analysis between three things: bills discounting, factoring, and forfeiting. And then I think we'll be done with the chapter. So let's complete, huh? Only 3 slides are there. 3, 4, I mean, yes, 3, na? Yes, only 3 slides. So pros and cons. Pros means benefits, cons means disadvantages. So what are the pros? Let's see. 100% financing is given. It creates liquidity in the company, reduces administration cost. Why? Because I will not have to take the headache on my head. I will not be stressful because forfeiter will be looking after to that. Increase trade opportunities. Why? Because I've got the cash. I can increase my sales. So trade opportunities are increased. Eliminate the risk of non-payment. Now I am free. If the bad debts are occurring, it will occur to the forfeiter. I have received my amount. I have received my amount. If there are going to be any bad debts in the future, then forfeiter is responsible. I am not going to take any risk. I am free from that risk. So that is my benefit. Risk elimination. Other types of risks are also there other than non-payment. Non-payment means bad debts. So other than non-payment, there are few types of risks that are involved in the process. That is exchange risk. Foreign currency is involved. No. So foreign currency is fluctuating in the market. So if it is going to be decreased, then also there is a loss. So that loss also is taken by forfeiter. So that is my advantage. Exporter's advantage. Exchange risk is taken by the forfeiter, not by me. So risk is eliminated from the process. I am not going to take it on my head. Okay. Political risk is involved because 2 types of countries are there. So 2 political parties are there. So 2 type of risk. There are many types of risks that are involved, like market risk, political risk, exchange risk. Yes. Next, we have cons. Cons means disadvantages. Are you guys following me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. It is very, very expensive in nature because, see, there are so many, types of expenses that an exporter has to pay after purchasing forfeiting services. It is before you, we have already covered. Okay. And let me tell you, the commission is also little, the amounts are higher. It is in the form of foreign currency like dollars, drams, and you can say yen, Japanese yen, and you can say, euros. So these are, foreign currencies. Therefore, commission is also little higher. Okay. Therefore, it becomes very, very expensive. Why it becomes very expensive? Because the risk, all types of risk are taken by the forfeiter. So if your risk is taken by the forfeiter, naturally he will charge you little higher commission, no? Therefore, it becomes very, very expensive. Not available for short period. Why? Because forfeiting is only available for long time maturity bills. Export bills, there are export bills, but they are of long period of times, like 1 year, 1.5 year. Such type of transactions are there, or maybe more than 6 months. Okay, not available in financially weak countries. If suppose if you're transacting with very weak country like Pakistan, like Afghanistan, if you're transacting with such type of countries, now comes in picture China. Right now it is financially weak country. Are you getting my point? Now we are not supposed
Yes,
to
ma'am.
transact with China, right? And if you're doing it, then forfeiter will not take the responsibility. Matlab forfeiting services are not available only. Why he will take the responsibility if you're transacting with such type of countries which are, financially weak? Already, financially weak countries are there. These are financially weak countries. So why are you transacting? First of all. And even if you are transacting, then why will forfeiter will take that responsibility, my dear? So you have to understand the concept. Okay. Next, factor and forfeiting के बीच में difference क्या क्या है? Let's see. Quickly हो जाएगा 5 मिनट में, क्योंकि आपको अभी तो पता चल गया है बहुत कुछ. ये मैं आपको वैसे होमवर्क देती हूँ, पर मैं क्यों करवा रही हूँ? क्योंकि ये इंपॉर्टेंट है. डिस्टिंग्विश वैसे हम हमेशा होमवर्क में लेते हैं. नाउ लेट अस कवर इट बिकॉज इट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. फैक्टरिंग में क्या होता है? 75 to 80% ऑफ द वैल्यू इज एडवांस्ड, is given to you, but then forfeiting में क्या होता है? 100% of the bills. Invoice is bill. Okay, 100% of the invoice value is given as an advance. Finance, it is involved for short term finance and it is involved for long term finance. Credit worthiness, here you can go with factor does not credit rating in case of non recourse, but here factoring bank relies on the creditability of availing bank. Means if your goodwill is good, only then factoring bank will take up the responsibility and give you the services. If the goodwill is not good, if you're not credit, I mean if you're not that much worthy, if you're वो बोलते हैं ना लायक नहीं है, कंपनी का गुडविल अच्छा नहीं है. So if your goodwill is not that worth in the market, then the transaction will not take place. That means forfeiter is relied upon, is dependent upon the credit worthiness, whereas factor does not look at your goodwill in the case of non recourse, without recourse. But in the case of recourse, he will check your credit worthiness. Okay, next, service provided. What are the service provided? Day to day administration services are provided, day to day activities. Okay, but here no services are provided. Only one time services. Day to day services are not provided. Recourse, it can be with and without recourse. It is always without recourse. Always remember, forfeiting is always without recourse. But in the case of factoring, it can be with or without recourse. Sales, the sales is checked by the turnover, and here the sales is checked by the bills, the amount that is there in the bill. $1 lakh, 2 lakh euros. आ रहा है समझ में? Are you getting my point, students?
Yes, ma'am.
The last slide of the chapter, comparative analysis. So you can just have a comparison between three of them: bills discounting, factoring, and forfeiting. So if you see scrutiny, it is individual sale transaction. One bill also can be taken to the bank. Here, service of sales transaction is taken. All the sales transaction. Here, individual sales transaction can be taken, but you will say, ma'am, then individual sales transaction is here also and bills discounting also. But my dear, please note, bills discounting is individual sales transaction within the country. And forfeiting means one bill can also be taken by forfeiter, but then it is that bill which is exported. I mean, sorry, it is export bill. It is that bill which shows that you have exported the goods to the other countries. Are you are you getting the difference between bill discounting and forfeiting? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Yes,
extent
ma'am.
of, very good. Extent of finance. Extent means how much finance, how much immediate payment will be given to you. Here, bill discounting will be given 70 to 80, 75 to 80. Factoring is 80 and forfeiting is 100%. Recourse, here only with recourse. Here, it can be with and without recourse, factoring. And forfeiting, always remember, it is only and only without recourse. That means client will never take any risk. All the risk is taken by the forfeiter. That is known as without risk. Next, sales administration. Here, bank will not take care of your sales administration. He will only take up the bills. That's it. Okay. So not done. Here factoring, factor will give you all the services, day-to-day services. And forfeiter, not done. The services are not done. Term, bills discounting, short term. Factoring, short term. Forfeiting, medium term. Or you can say long term also. Mute everybody. Aradhna, mute. Aradhna. Okay. So you cannot be confused with bill discounting and factoring because both have short term. But please note, bill discounting is one bill can be also taken for the short term to the bank to be discounted. Here, all the bills are taken to the factor for the short term. All the bills are for short term, but then all the bills are sold to the factor. So there is a difference between bill discounting and factoring. Do not get confused. Okay. Last point, charge creation. Charge. What do you suppose if you're giving all the bills to the bank, the bank has given all the money. So what is charge that is created? Hypothecation. That means kuch to girvi rakhna padega na. So hypothecation. All the bills are kept with the banks. It is my right to receive the money from the debtors. But now because bank has given money to me, therefore all the bills are not to be kept by me. It is to be handed over to the banks. So hypothecation. Here charge is assignment. Here charge is also assignment. Assignment means you are assigning all the bills, all the rights to the factor. Here also all the rights to the forfeiter. They will decide the credit period. They will control the credit transactions. They will decide which is good debtor and bad debtor. So this is known as assignment. All the rights are assigned to the factor and the forfeiter. So I believe you have understood the whole
Ma'am,
chapter.
please repeat fourth point again.
Last point, or which fourth point means sales?
Yes, ma'am.
Sales administration means everyday sales transactions are there. No, for when to collect the money from the debtor, which type of debtor is involved, how much money has to be collected, how much outstanding has to be recorded in the books of account, what is the opening balance, what is the closing balance. This all comes in administration work. So here administration work is not taken by the bank, my dear. When you just discount the bill, you are just taking one bill to the bank and discount it, come back, and you are taking all the responsibilities to look after the sales administration. Bank will never do in this case. So no services are provided for sales administration in the case of bills discounting. Is it clear? This much is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Your factor will take the responsibility for administering, for looking after the administration of sales. Is it clear? Factor will take the responsibility, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and forfeiter will not take. It is one-time service. No, forfeiter is one-time service. He is not going to take the responsibility of administration. Yes, but you can sell all the bills to them and he will receive all the money from the debtors in the future on the future date. Other type of administration, sales administration services will be not taken by forfeiter. So here bills discounting ke case mein not done, forfeiting ke case mein not done, but in factoring ke case mein all the administration work is taken by the factor. In the case of factoring only, huh? So did you understand this much?
Yes, ma'am.
So I
Yes,
believe
ma'am.
whole chapter is clear to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any
Yes, ma'am.
doubts?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, no doubt.
Okay. Still, you can have, this document is already shared with you. You can refer the whole document. In case if you have any doubts, we can again, discuss it and solve your doubts. So, tata bye-bye to this chapter. Okay. From tomorrow, we are going to begin with, what to say?
Ma'am, FRA.
FRA, and it is going to be next chapter, which is related to final accounts of banking companies. See, we have done cash flow statement, the very first chapter in the beginning. Next chapter was corporate final accounts, corporate companies like Reliance and Tata. Now we are going to do banking final accounts, that is final accounts maintained by the banks. How do they maintain the final accounts?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
mean, sorry, how do they maintain the records in the final accounts? So we will understand through that chapter. It is very, very, very interesting. मजा आता है वो chapter करने में. ठीक
Yes,
है?
ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
again, it is practical chapter. We are going to start it from tomorrow onwards.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I believe the whole chapter is clear now. We can wind up the lecture.
Yes, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Okay. Bye. Bye.